You're listening to XVGM Radio.
One-on-one.
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 One-on-one. Jordan. One-on-one. One-on-one. One-on-one.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Niko.
And I'm Mike.
And welcome to episode 132, the Basketball VGM Hall of Fame.
Oh man, I am very excited for this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think this was your suggestion, if I recall, right?
Yeah, because I definitely wanted to do something sports related because of the spring season. And you mentioned that with, I guess, the what comes up during the spring season and such for basketball.
Yeah,
it'd be fitting to do this theme.
What is it? The Final Four or whatever. It's a college basketball time right now. I am a pretty big basketball fan. Not so much college. I live in Connecticut, and we have the Huskies here, and they dominate like every year. So it's very much like the Huskies won again? Oh, great. It's like, I don't really follow it in that aspect. I'm just kind of like, oh, yay, go our home team or whatever. But yeah, I've always been more of an NBA fan from back in the day. So, but you also like basketball quite a bit, right?
Absolutely. I did play it back in the day, just casually, of course. When I lived in San Antonio, Texas, big Spurs fan. I mean, the family's actually always been Spurs fan because of some relatives from San Antonio as well. But either way, our family just got infected with the Spurs love. But I've always enjoyed them regardless. And I guess Trailblazers would be second because living in Portland, but still enjoy it the most as far as playing it when I can and watching it too.
So I know you're younger than me, so you didn't live through the wonderful time period of the early to mid 90s when it was two teams that you were a fan of, most likely. You were either a Charlotte Hornets fan, which was me, or a Chicago Bulls fan because of Michael Jordan, basically. I mean, you had the dream team, Scottie Pippen, Michael MJ, Dennis Rodman, like all the heavy hitters on the Bulls, and then the Hornets had Muggsy Bogues, Alonzo Mourning, and Larry Johnson's. It was a wild time to be a basketball fan, and I got sucked into it big time. It was like 6th grade, and I was just, I was totally, like, I was playing basketball all the time. I was wearing Hornets gear. I'm even right now sporting some Hornets for the episode.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So, and the Hornets are actually good this year, believe it or not. So I'm happy to rep a team that doesn't suck the way they have been for eons.
Yeah, I definitely missed out on that in the 90s, but I got a little bit of that, I guess, with the Lakers and the Spurs, because there were definitely some butting heads there. So I got to experience that a little bit when I did watch it. So
yeah, it was like the late 90s, right? Like the late 90s, early 2000s, I think, right?
Yeah, early 2000s definitely, because that's when I was living in San Antonio, but
I
remember that briefly as well. So not as intense as with what you got to experience, but still, it was fun.
I think a lot of it, though, was, at least back in the day, was fashion, like fashion related. It was very hot to like wear like a Chicago Bulls jersey or a Charlotte Hornets jersey, or the starter jackets, the 90s starter jackets. I'm sure we'll get more into it as time goes on, because there's going to be games that we're going to be talking about that like are right up that alley. But we picked a good assortment of stuff from the 90s, from the 2000s. Like, we got some pretty neat basketball music, starting off with our intro. But before we get to that, I did just want to touch on something real quick, and that is a clarification. We haven't had to do a clarification corner in a long time, and of course, leave it to me to screw things up. Last episode, shout out to Electric Boogaloo, one of our loyal listeners, who pointed it out. We did catch it and note it in the show notes when he brought it to our attention very early on. But in the previous episode, which was the Shinji Hosoe Spotlight that Ed and I did, there were 2 tracks. The intro, Fighting Layer, there was a track called Alan Snyder that I misquoted and said that was a Shinji Hosoe song. That was by Takayuki Aihara. And the other song is from Dirt Dash, again, another one of my picks, which was an arcade game. The song Mountain was actually composed by Hiroto Sasaki. So apologies to anyone who was listening who was like, hey, wait a minute. Unfortunately, I do sometimes get it wrong. To be fair, those credits were based on information that we found in Moby Games, but I'm going to try my best when we do those composer spotlights to also reference the VGM database of soundtracks, because a lot of the times they give better breakdowns for who composed which song. So yeah, my bad. Life goes on. So
all good, man. That's part of how it goes when we love our VGM and trying to find our respective composer credit. It's sometimes a rabbit hole.
It is, and we spend quite a lot of time going back and forth on trying to make sure that we get the right composer. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. It's rare, I will say that. Generally, I think we have a really good track record. I couldn't tell you the last clarification corner that we had to do, so we're doing the best we can in all aspects. But anyways, so you picked this intro, Jordan versus Bird 1-on-1. That track that we heard was from the Commodore 64 version, which came out in 1988, and that was the title screen by Rob Hubbard. I gotta know why you picked this one. I love the track, for the record.
Well, I mean, for something basketball related, what better fitting game and track to choose than something, that was hot? Jordan versus Bird, 2 iconic legends. Getting their own, of course, crossover game. How could I not choose the Commodore 64 version? I was close to choosing the NES one, and as much as I love my man David Wise, I mean, this version, I believe, came out first, and it's Rob Hubbard. What more do I have to say? If you don't know who Rob Hubbard is, god dang.
How dare you?
It's just a great. It feels like the culmination of what Rob has done up to that point, like using all the samples, the funky beats, and the melody. I love it all. The drums, the bass, the voice samples, like halfway through. Oh, it's just a really flowing track that just goes all over the place, and it's Commodore 64 goodness to a T.
Yeah, this had like multiple different versions of this game. It didn't just come out on like Commodore 64 and NES. It came out on Genesis. It came out on Game Boy. It had a DOS port. This had legs. Really cool. This really brought a lot of Savage to me. That Savage game with the Savage, like the PCM samples. You know, the one-on-one. You know, the girls saying one-on-one. And then you've got like random like little PCM samples kind of filtered in through there. I don't know if those are actually PCM samples. They're obviously voice samples, but it's really impressive to hear this on a Commodore 64. I gotta wonder like how they did it, you know?
Yeah, I should have looked something up about this, because I've had my obsession with Rob Hubbard and just listening to all his music, especially when he started using samples and especially the like distorted guitar sound from like the hidden fourth sound channel that the SID chip has on the Commodore 64.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what it was.
Then, definitely something. I definitely has to be using that, if not some other wizardry of programming magic. But I mean, I just love the way the samples with Jordan and Bird are like different. You get like Bird, you get that long, and then Jordan's like Jordan, Jordan. I think it represents both Jordan and Bird very accurately, I would say.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as basketball games too, I mean, this is like the first one that jumps out to me, because I mean, there were basketball games before this, but this is like the first one that I would say is like a landmark basketball title. So I feel it represents bringing us into this theme very well.
You know what's really funny is both Michael Jordan and Larry Bird are credited as designers on this online.
Oh, really?
I gotta wonder like how much of his credit, you know, when it says designed by, I gotta wonder like what he did, you know, how much of that was really him.
I mean, maybe some suggestions. I don't know if he got in there and started, you know, programming on a computer. I don't know about that, but it's fun to think.
Not only are Michael Jordan and Larry Bird basketball whizzes, but they are also world-class video game programmers.
I mean, I'd believe it. Why not?
Right?
I feel like they could do anything.
Pretty much. I mean, if you could dribble a basketball, you could you could probably put out some awesome video games. So.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned David Wise on the NES soundtrack, and that's the one that I remember most fondly. I've played that one a little bit. I've not played this Commodore 64 version, so I'm not sure, like gameplay wise, how much of a major difference there is between the two. There's like a 3-point contest, I think, in this.
Yes.
There's also 5 racks with 5 balls each that are placed around the 3-point arc, and the player has to pick each ball and throw in the best timing possible to get as many points as possible during a 60-second window. Jordan has airtime during a slam dunk contest, so you have to try to do a certain number of dunks and score them, and then there's like judges that like score, you know, based on how complex the dunk is, I guess. That's kind of the game in a nutshell. It's not a very deep game, but I think what really powers these early basketball games is the soundtrack. So, have you played this one or no?
No, I mean, I've seen it. It's very basic compared to the NES one, especially. I feel like the NES one definitely spruced up a little more because it was rare and they just make everything look or sound nice.
Sure.
Definitely much more archaic, or like it feels bare bones looking at the Commodore 64 version, but you know, the graphics and such, but it's all the same too. Yeah, that gameplay, it's basically the same.
Yeah.
Just the fantasy of playing as Jordan or Bird and doing contests and all that. It's definitely a game you play for a bit and you're like, okay, that was fun for like 10 minutes. But then obviously what sticks with you? That music.
That's it. Yeah. Rob Hubbard, I know he's done a ton on Commodore 64, but do you have a couple games in mind that you really want to highlight since you're a big fan?
Oh yeah, I mean, God, I had a big phase in my community college days. You know, they had Macs, and what I would do is I would download a SID player and like the entire SID collection. And thankfully, they're like organized by like artists. So I would just listen to all of Rob Hubbard's soundtracks. So I've heard pretty much like all he's done on the Commodore 64 that was available on like a SID file. Monty on the Run, One Man and His Droid, Crazy Comets, Knucklebusters, Skate or Die, probably one of his most iconic for the C64. Definitely those are fantastic and better check them out.
No Samantha Fox strip poker?
I mean, look, it's actually decent for what it is.
Okay.
But definitely lower on his. I'm gonna make a tier list now. I'm gonna rank all his Commodore 64 soundtracks because of that.
Right.
But no, I would also say, of course, the very few he did on the NES, Skater Die 2, The Immortal, the unreleased Chuck Yeager's Air Combat.
Okay.
Was that one?
I've heard of that one, yeah.
Yeah, which is always, or Chuck Yeager's Fighter Combat.
Oh, okay.
An unreleased NES title that he did. So that would make 3. That's all he did on the NES, which, my main forte. Obviously, Road Rash 1 and 2. Definitely his Genesis era is also kind of like, it's not like his Commodore 64 era, but I would say he's also most well known for a lot of Sega Genesis soundtracks because EA started getting really big on the Sega Genesis in the 90s.
Right.
So, all his Sega Genesis soundtracks are also pretty top notch, even if he does blast the DAC drum samplage pretty hard on some soundtracks. But hey, he was still learning. That was new technology and such. But
Word.
I mean, yeah, there's so much. Just those handful is it doesn't even do justice to the other soundtracks that I recommend. But still, look up Rob Hubbard if you've never heard of him. If you haven't, if you're listening to this VGM podcast, I'd be very surprised. But
right.
I believe PGA Tour 96 was also the last soundtrack he was full on, the main composer on. And then he became more of an audio technical director heading into the late 90s and early 2000s and onward. He's left quite a great legacy, so shout out to my man, Rob Hubbard.
Yeah,
Thank you.
He's still doing stuff. I mean, even as of 2021, where he's credited for the NHL 94 theme music. But looks like, Warhawk was his last game on the ZX Spectrum.
Original
Next.
music,
Yeah,
definitely a lot of credits for using his older songs, which definitely became super popular with I Want to Be the Guy. That's how I actually first knew about him, because of the use of Monty on the Run's theme near the end of the game. So.
Okay. Huh.
Shout out to that one just because of the infamy of I Want to Be the Guy.
Well, we're going to continue this basketball episode and try not to get people too far lost into the jargon. After all, this is a video game music podcast. But you are picking first. So what's your first track?
All right. My first track is going to be from Coach K College Basketball on the Sega Genesis, released in 1995. The track is Menu Theme 2, and it's by Jeff Van Dyke. Welcome back. You just heard the Menu Theme 2 from Coach K College Basketball, released on the Sega Genesis in 1995 by Jeff Van Dyke.
This was so groovy and so fun. I'm no stranger to I think it's Jeff Van Dyke's, I think.
Oh, really?
I know it's spelled D-Y-C-K, but I think it's pronounced Jeff Van Dyke. I think. I'm almost positive. Yeah. Oh man, I love his stuff. Like pretty much almost everything I've heard of his, I'm just like absolutely love. But I didn't know that he did this game. For a while, there was just like a ton of Genesis basketball games that I've discovered over the years that have like incredible soundtracks.
He's an unsung hero for giving many sports titles just great soundtracks. I mean, as I always say, never judge a game, in this case, by its cover, by its genre, whatever, sports game, which usually I think a lot of people would pass up thinking like, oh, this part doesn't have like a great music. But Jeff was one to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make soundtracks. These soundtracks sound amazing. He cared. He was, someone that actually cared like how they sounded, and especially on the Sega Genesis, a console very, notorious for being criticized for its sound. He made it sound beautiful. I definitely love this track. I figured, we start with something pretty pumping with some energy, and then we bring it down just a little bit, a little groovy, a little slow.
Yeah, this reminded me of like some Toe Jam and Earl stuff, like very funky, very, and a lot of the tracks on this episode are like this. They're very funk oriented, very jazz influenced, more rhythm and blues and hip hop based. Which makes sense because, basketball has become very popular as an urban sport over the years. And so it's natural that a lot of the tunes kind of like gravitate towards that kind of sound.
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting, the soundtrack is only 4 songs, which seems pretty low. But, I mean, for the 4 tracks, they are all standout. The first 2 are kind of actually more dancey and rockin' in a way. I definitely say more dancey. And then you get to Menu Theme 2, which is like, oh, he takes it slow, brings it down. Well, not brings it down, but, slows it down.
Brings it down.
Yeah, we're bringing it down, downtown, slamming down.
Slamma-jamma.
Yeah, and then slammin' jammin'. And then there's like the victory theme, the last one, which is kind of like a traditional just Jeff Van Dyke song on the Sega Genesis. But for his last Sega Genesis soundtrack, I would say it's a great soundtrack to go out on. He only did a couple, obviously, but still, I would say top notch. He makes the Sega Genesis sound just fantastic. I love just everything sounds so clean, and just the samples and I love that bass. I love everything. Love everything about what Jeff does. And this soundtrack, check it out. And if you've been hesitant to be like, oh, Coach K College Basketball, again, something I definitely gave a lot of judgment on in my early days of getting into retro games and such. Once you start to know who the composers are, that kind of then opens your whole world up, I would say.
I think the big complaint that I have with retro basketball games is that for the most part there's not music playing during the actual game itself.
Precisely.
Typically it's like, they try to do like shoe noises, like a lot of sound effects, the rim, the ball bouncing off the rim, that sort of thing. And like nearly every basketball game is guilty of this. So that means that if we're going to be playing a game that's not going to have music in the background because the focus is going to be on the gameplay, and you're going head to head with another team to face off, so you're not as focused on like grooving to music. So it makes sense why that's the case, why there's like very few tracks in a lot of these early basketball game soundtracks. And that's just because the music was being placed in spots that they could fit music in that wasn't the actual like gameplay. Choosing stuff on menus, going into options, the credits themes. Those were like, or maybe like halftime. That's like where the music was being played. And, a lot of the times with a lot of games, the music would just cut out. Like you'll be listening to a song and you'll be grooving to it, and the game may have it automatically set so that the song it moves on to the next part of the game, maybe like coming back from halftime or whatever. So you end up missing out on a good chunk of the song which is unfortunate because, the songs are generally pretty good, but then you run into those situations. So it's kind of like it's a little nitpick, but it is something worth mentioning regarding this.
No, that is very common in a lot of these games, especially the American developed sports games where the gameplay, there's usually not music during the Japan. They would usually do pretty good to have in-game music during their sports games.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's a lot of either like the title screen, the menu theme, end of the game theme, victory theme. That's usually what you get with a lot of these. And that's fine. I'm sure it helped with like having like the crowd noises and focusing on that during the gameplay. But I mean, I love my jams during. But hey, you know what? That's okay because we can listen to these jams outside of having to play the game.
That's it. Now, do you know who Coach K is?
He's a coach. That's all I don't know exactly who Coach K. I guess he was, infamous or well known enough to get his own game in his namesake.
Yeah, he's the lifetime coach of the Duke University basketball team. So this is an NCAA licensed spinoff, but the game uses the NBA Live engine. That was, pretty popular back then on NBA games. But it's 32 different NCAA teams, including, of course, Coach K's Duke Blue Devils, and also the 1994 NCAA champions, the Arkansas Razorbacks. So there's also some classic teams as well, but the licenses don't have like any of the player names or anything like that. So seems like pretty standard basketball game, season, tournament, exhibition, pretty standard. If you played any of the NBA Live games, it's pretty similar. I love some of the backgrounds during like the menus. They look like tiles, like bathroom tiles. Some of them even look like very modern looking background. Like there's this one that's blue that has like, dark blue, light blue, and then kind of a medium, normal, regular blue. The way that they're designed, I'm like, this looks like my backsplash in my bathroom. Like,
yeah, I didn't want to bring that up. That is kind of cool. I like when games do make their like menus and such pretty visually like distinct, which this one does have. It's pretty fun.
Niko, how do you know what my bathroom looks like?
I don't know. I didn't come over and secretly install a camera. I would never do that.
No, I mean, I hope not. Nobody wants to see me poop.
No.
So Jeff Van Dyke, I believe is how you pronounce it, has done a ton of music. Give me like, I don't know, 3 games or so that like really stand out for you.
I would have to say FIFA International Soccer, which he is also he's actually most well known for doing a lot of the ports for those for the FIFA International Soccer when those started coming out. I would say the Super Nintendo version stands out to me, even though obviously the Genesis came out first. And what people could say is like, you should do that one because that's the first soundtrack he did, and it sounds great, and it does. All his soundtracks do, but I like the Super Nintendo version the most.
Okay,
I would say that, and
one more,
along with Coach K basketball, Need for Speed, which he worked on, the first Need for Speed game.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, get a little variety here, I would say. So
you get -2 points for not mentioning Skitchin'.
I know, I should have said Skitchin', but I was...
Love that soundtrack.
I feel like I do too. It's fantastic. We should definitely, follow up on that idea with Jeff to do episode on Skitchin' alone. I love soundtrack.
I'd love to get Jeff on an episode and do Skitchin'. I think that'd be really fun.
That would be so cool.
The only other one that I know of is Assault Android Cactus, which has a great soundtrack, and that's a more modern game that he did. Really fun shooter, like robot shooter. Super cute, super fun. All right, let's get into my first pick. I played a track off of this when we did a similar theme. We did a live show, Justin and I, back in March 30th of 2019. Literally, we did like another like kind of basketball game episode. This one's the Basketball VGM Hall of Fame, though. And so I couldn't pick the exact same song that I did, but I did pick a track from NBA Jam Tournament Edition. This came out on everything, but specifically the Super NES and the Genesis is what we're going to be focusing on for standard releases. This is specifically from the Super NES version. It's the end of game theme, and it's by Rick Fox. All right, welcome back. That was one of my favorite basketball games of all time, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, also known as NBA Jam TE. That came out in the Super NES and the Genesis in 1995, though that was specifically the Super NES version, and that was End of Game by Rick Fox. Oh, man, I heard this track so many times growing up. I don't know about you, if you were like an NBA Jam fan at all, but this was, to fully state, pun intended, my jam.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I've heard this a few times. I mean, you know, naturally knowing the infamy of NBA Jam, I've heard the original and this tournament edition. And yeah, it's a good theme. I like this. I like this end of game theme. Very solidifying your victory if you did win, but still just a really good theme. I like it.
NBA Jam is the quintessential like arcade basketball game. Like,
oh yeah,
it did for basketball what Mortal Kombat did for fighting games. I would argue it simplified things. It made things fun and exciting and engaging. And when they brought the game home from the arcade, it was just like everybody wanted it. Everybody played it. It was just so hot. And, you know, being an SNES kid growing up, I definitely leaned towards NBA Jam. And I don't remember playing the original NBA Jam outside of the arcade. There was this restaurant called Scoreboard that was like near my hometown. And it was just like a random like bar type restaurant type thing, and they had an NBA Jam arcade machine, like the original NBA Jam. And I remember like just going there just so I could play NBA Jam, suffering through like burnt charcoal burgers or, you know, like soggy steak fries, just so I could, you know, get a couple rounds in of NBA Jam. When NBA Jam TE came out, it was a no-brainer. I was like, I have to own this. And I got it and loved it. And that was like at the peak of my interest in basketball, like 95, 96. That was like, I was so deep into it and I was playing it all the time. I even had my dad install a basketball hoop for me, you know, outside, to like have the cemented in basketball hoop. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. Good times. I have fond memories of those like mid 90s like basketball adventures. I used to go to like the local park and they had a basketball court and I would like play there too. And I never really played against too many people. One of my good friends was like really into basketball too, but he was a Bulls fan. So like we had that little bit of rivalry between us, you know, me being a Hornets fan and all. I always pick Charlotte Hornets, obviously. That was my jam, you know, Alonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues would always be like my go-to, and then I would switch it up and play as Larry Johnson when I got injured too much. So it'd be like Larry Johnson and Muggsy, or, you know, whoever got injured the most during the game. And I remember playing this, like, basically I would like play full seasons of this game, and like I would just keep playing. I don't think I ever like got a championship. Like I don't think I ever like finished the game, so to speak, but I remember playing like maybe 24 teams or a dozen teams or whatever, and, you know, beating them. So yeah, consider me a person who has heard this song way too many times.
Yeah, I'll say I'm just letting you go off because I just love hearing the stories. I mean, gosh, I wish I had that same experience. I wish I had friends.
I sound so old
then.
though. I sound so old because I'm just like, well, in my era, in the 90s, we all played basketball and hooped it up. And you're like, come on, Grandpa, let's go back to bed. You're talking about your basketball again.
No, it's fun. I mean, I only had my dad that I ever played with, which was fun. You know, it was like our time to bond and just chat and hang out and go get whatever delicious food was, you know. Oh, Chili's. When we had the Chili's, we would always go there, which, you know.
Nice.
I miss you, Chili's, but...
You guys don't have Chili's there?
We used to, but not anymore, sadly.
Oh, really? Okay, we have Chili's out here.
Well, brag about
Chili's.
it then.
You gotta come out east, and we'll record like an episode like in person, and we'll go to Chili's. Yeah. Oh, dude, let's record in the Chili's.
Oh,
that place Scoreboard isn't around anymore. It's a shame, because then I would say let's go to Scoreboard and play some NBA Jam.
Okay,
But
we'll plan for that one day. One day it'll happen.
One day when we're old.
Oh,
Well, I'm already old.
It's all good.
I used to use the codes too in NBA Jam. So like I would input like the special codes so you could play like as, you know, like Bill Clinton and like the Beastie Boys and the mascots like Hugo the Hornet and, you know, the bull and everything. It was a lot of fun. Rick Fox is the composer on this one. Was apparently a former keyboardist for David Bowie, which I just learned.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. So his first game was actually Batman Forever, the arcade and PlayStation game in 96, according to this. I'm not sure why he is credited for NBA Jam then. Hold on.
It's the only credit I could find with on VGM PF. That mentions him doing this one. And yeah, since the two, this and the original just NBA Jam soundtracks are different, I guess. Yeah,
yes.
He just solely just did the original soundtrack on this version or this edition.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the credits themselves go, at least for Team Iguana, they're the ones that developed this version of the game. But the audio driver is Bitmasters created it, the Slick Audio V101. But I don't see any specific music credits for this game on at least Moby Games. So I will have to, you know, assume that Rick Fox is the composer on this one. But it's just interesting because his music composition credits don't showcase that, at least on Moby Games. He is credited for an NBA Jam game for the PS2 and Xbox in 2003, where he's an executive audio director. But yeah, kind of strange. But yeah, Batman Forever, he did a lot of games for Acclaim. Stuff like Iggy's Wrecking Balls. You wrecked my balls. Audio director on that one. You know, most of his credits are for audio direction and, you know, are like generic Acclaim audio credits, music licensing, cinematics music, which he did for Shattered Union in 2005. Oh, and then he has his own studio called Fox Studios as well, which is apparently not a, you know, no relation to Fox, you know, like Fox Studios, like a, what's it called? 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, I knew you were going.
Yeah. But yeah, he's kind of dabbled with a lot of different stuff, doing cinematics for art and graphics for Shattered Union, video cinematics for NBA 2K17. So yeah, he's kind of always got had his hands in the NBA series, with his most recent credit for Fox Studios being NBA 2K21. All right, well, it looks like we are getting a call on the caller request hotline.
Oh my. All right. Well, Janine, can you put that caller through? XVGM Radio. Who is this and what can we play for you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, hello. How are you?
I'm great. This is Bird Larry.
Bird Larry. Not to be confused with Larry Bird, right?
Right, you got it. And, oh, sorry, I'm a bird.
Oh, I didn't expect this. What brings you here, Bird Larry?
Well, you know, I heard that you guys were doing a show, and I figured, why not suggest a track?
All right. Also, are you a chicken, Sir Bird Larry?
Caw, caw.
Oh.
How dare you?
Oh.
I can't believe you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to presume.
Just play a track.
All right. I'll do so for you. Just for you, Bird Larry. All right.
Bird Larry. No relation to Larry Bird. Okay, so I guess we could just pick a random track for poor Bird Larry.
All right, let's move on to the next track then. Let me get you something from Jam It on the 3DO, released in 1994. The track is Love Pump, and this is by Dwight Stone, Dominique Guidiez, and Terry Barnum. All right, welcome back. You just heard the track Love Pump from Jam It on the 3DO, released in 1994. And that was by Dwight Stone, Dominique Widiez, and Terry Barnum.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Super funky fresh with some 40 cents.
Yeah, that's the way I like it. I like this. Yeah, this was definitely an interesting choice. Definitely what I love about this theme we're doing is just the eclectic choices from different consoles. And this is something I was like, well, I want to choose something from Jam It. Most people are probably familiar with the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions, but I was like, wait a minute, there's a 3DO version. And I know y'all haven't played much 3DO tracks, so I was like, let me get something unique from this. And yeah, I came across this track, which is, of course, from the two other versions. Though on the Super Nintendo version, it's called Slams Only. And then on the Genesis, I know I love the track titles on these. And then on the Genesis, it's called Love Eat Love. So I guess this one is closest to the Genesis as far as the namesake or title. I just love that name. Just
all I can think of with Love Pump is the scene from Spinal Tap where they're talking about the different song names, and he's like, "Oh, you know that song? What's the title? Lick My Love Pump." So that is what I am thinking of forever and always when I hear Love Pump, and I will firmly associate that with
what?
Jam It,
Maybe they were a fan of This Is Spinal Tap, and they, that's why they called it that. Who knows? I would not doubt.
Maybe.
Yes, I like this track because I just love the melody of this one. Just that bana bana bam bam. Yeah, we're bringing the funk, bringing those party synths, which I mean, yeah, they're definitely using whatever. I guess they just. I mean, this is probably what it sounded like before they, of course, they put it on. At least maybe the Super Nintendo version, of course, because that's definitely sample based. But I was definitely tossed up between choosing one from the Genesis version, which actually I really like the Genesis version soundtrack of Jam It. This track, or the equivalent, the Love You Love, is actually apparently a 14-minute track. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just do something that's a little shorter. Yeah, it's it does go on for 7 minutes until it properly loops, which is very interesting. I don't know why they chose on that game to do it. Maybe they just had time to flex their skills, composing skills. Who knows? It's very gems for the Genesis soundtrack, but for the 3DO version here, I like it. I like the way it kind of sounds a little full, or almost like it's a little almost echoey with some of the instruments. I don't know. I just like the way this song sounds from compared to the other versions. I mean, again, it's split with the Genesis version, but again, I wanted something unique for console-wise, and I was like, let's get a little, Red Book audio. Let's get a little more higher fidelity action going on. The whole soundtrack is still pretty great too. Very funky, very jammin', as is the namesake. That's why they called it Jam It, because you knew you were gonna jam to the tune.
That's it. This one is the game itself. I mean, the song, those kind of 40 synths remind me of really early 90s hip hop, or late 80s, the era where you had MCs that would have all kind of very similar flows, where it'd be those kind of flows. And don't get me wrong, I'm not making fun of it. I love that stuff. My jam is late 80s, early 90s hip hop. Love that stuff. So I was fully on board with this track. But gameplay wise, and the game itself, it takes a lot from Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam, where they have those photorealistic people in the game, and they look so blatantly 90s.
It's like a time capsule.
For sure. It's just got that kind of pseudo edgy, trying way too hard to be cool. Every character has their own name, the girl in the game is Roxy, and she looks like something out of American Gladiators. They really tried to amp it up in that
they're really
aspect.
pushing those that 90s coolness, and you're playing out in the streets. There's a boombox in some of the levels. You're just playing on a just an urban court or whatever. It's very just very hip, very 90s. I think you summed it up pretty well.
There's on the back of the DOS cover, there's a picture of, like, I believe a Rottweiler with a giant chain around its neck and like a padlock on the chain, and they made him look so sinister looking. It's like, God, this game is like so cringe by today's standards. I think even back then, everybody thought it was cringe. Like, I don't know anybody that played this and was like, yo, you ever play Jam It? That game's the best. Like, never heard that before in my life. Like, this was bottom of the barrel basketball. It's like a one-on-one game, if I recall. It's not like team based. It's very like White Men Can't Jump, kind of like street
a little
ball,
bit,
so to speak.
It's very silly. I guess they just were like, we gotta capitalize on this NBA Jam that just came out like the previous year. So because of that, you get a product like a game like Jam It, which, you know what, I'm okay with, because we got awesome tunes like this.
Maybe they're just trying to jam it down your throat.
I would rather they jam it down my ears, which they are doing.
Like a love pump.
Oh my! You brought it back around. I love it.
Full circle.
Well, here, let me pump some love to these composers for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what? Tell me all about them, because I've never heard any of these.
They are. They don't have a huge catalog. The company that I believe, I forget if they developed and published or published it. Oh, it is just GT Interactive Media. Never mind. I was trying to figure out what the initials meant. But either way, they are pretty much solely credited for doing all the ports of Jam It. The 3DO version, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the DOS version too that they had. Yeah, it's pretty much mostly that between Dwight and Dominic. Dwight's got also, they did Bonkers, Dizzy's Bonkers on the Sega Genesis. Garfield Caught in the Act.
Okay.
And then Lose Your Marbles was the last credit for Dwight Stone. Dominique has a little bit more credits to his name with also Jam It, Street Hockey 95, Time Lapse with Windows, Nightlight, and apparently their last credit was as a dialogue editor for MLB 08 The Show, which I don't know if it's the same Dominique, but it's always interesting when it's like, their last credit in like the 90s or 96 for NCAA championship basketball, and then 12 years later they're working on that game. But that's what they've done. And Terry Barnum, who I should actually specifically mention, was the music and sound effects editor. That's his credit on Jam It. So I don't think he was one of the main composers, but helped, of course, incorporate the audio into the games and how they probably sounded on each version of the game. But same thing, Street Hockey 95, Lost and Found Volume 1, which is on Dwight and Dominique's this as well. FX Fighter, it's same games. Last original credit, NCAA Championship Basketball for music production engineering. So just kind of a little bit of just, again, like time capsule of just these people that worked on those games in those couple of years in the mid 90s. But I at least appreciate very much for Dwight and Dominique for what they did for Jam It. Even if it is like a cringe, just like trying hard to be cool basketball game, I think it's worth it just because we get all these variety of soundtracks.
This is 100% a soundtrack delivery system. I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole unless I was like in a room of friends and we just wanted something ridiculous to play that wasn't Skitchin'.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But also, shout out, and I would say recommend check out both the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions because they are also very good.
Nice. I'll have to check those out. All right. Coming up on my next track, this is from a game called NBA Showdown 94, which I believe is called NBA Live on the Super NES, I think. It's the Genesis 94 release, and this was NBA Finals World Champion, and it's by David Whitaker and Traz Damji. All right. That track that we just jammed out to, which we just jam it out to, was NBA Showdown 94 on the Sega Genesis, the 1994 classic release. This track was NBA Finals World Champion, and it was arranged by David Whittaker, and the original composer on it is Traz Damji.
Heck yeah. Oh, heck yeah. I love this. I love the sound of the Genesis, the way both of these guys make it sound. I love the compositions from Traz and just the way David Whittaker makes it sound on the Genesis. It's so funky, so just makes me want to get a basketball and start making some free throws.
It makes you want to jam it.
I just want to jam it.
Yeah, jam it, man. I also love this from the, go, go, go PCM samples, which is giving me flashbacks to 90s beat 'em ups like, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, where they're like, go, 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 to get you to move. It may even be the same sample. I don't know. Doubtful, but
I feel like there's a lot of songs that use that exact same go, go, go. It's that exact one.
Yeah, it's probably from some kind of sound bank or something like that they stole it from. That's where a lot of those PCM samples come from, is those random free sound banks, so that way they don't have to pay any specific licenses for something. But yeah, I love how funky this is. It's just such a jam. And really bouncy, really groovy. And I love the percussion on this. It's super punchy. David Whittaker does a great job arranging this for the Sega Genesis. It just really brings out the funky, punchy flow. So I was fully on board.
Absolutely. Biggest shout out to just that bass. I just love that. It's there's something about just a good funky bass line, especially coming off the Sega Genesis. I mean, you get there's so many out there. You think the Genesis is just a standard kind of farty bass sound, but no, it can produce some solid, gratifying sounding bass. That's kind of what it was known for too.
Yeah, I'll have to compare this to the Super Nintendo version. I chose this version specifically for that really funky flow and the really chunky bass. So I would imagine that on the Super Nintendo they probably used the slap bass, because anytime that the Super Nintendo had to there's very few games that do anything other than Seinfeld slap bass or more flat toned bass. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is the more orchestral sounding bass line or soundtracks. Chrono Trigger had some really funky kind of grooves in there, the Force theme. Super Castlevania 4, of course, comes to mind with that upright bass in many of the tracks. Whenever I think of the Genesis, I think of more funky, chunky, bunky bass.
Funky, chunky bass. I like that. It's
funky, chunky bass.
It's a great descriptor. I like that.
I know nothing about this game other than the fact that it is actually a port. I think I misquoted. I said earlier NBA Live. I think it is NBA Showdown on the Super Nintendo, which came out in '93. And then they ported it to the Genesis the following year. It's got multiple names depending on what system you buy it on, even the differences between the Japanese versions. For example, the Super Nintendo version is called NBA Showdown. NBA Showdown 94 is the Genesis title, and then it's NBA Pro Basketball 94 in Japan on the Sega Genesis, or the Mega Drive rather, and then it's NBA Pro Basketball 94 Bulls vs. Suns on the Japanese Super Famicom. So why they decided to give this so many names, I don't know, but
beats me.
But yeah, this is an EA Sports game. This is back a little bit prior to the whole EA Sports, it's in the game, era that was really I'd say mid to late 90s. This is back when EA would still make non-sports games. They made other games other than sports games that were pretty good on the Sega Genesis for the most part. So EA's bread and butter is these basketball, football, hockey, all those types of officially licensed sports games, even to this very day. So
though they definitely were at their peak here, and despite how they became more the sports company by this time, I still enjoy it because they gave us a lot of good stuff, especially for NBA and for Madden and even FIFA. all those. I would say
Yeah, like the earlier ones, right?
Yeah, I would
like
say
the earlier.
Yes, absolutely. I would say the NBA is what I feel like they excelled the best in basketball, at least as far as I guess also who they got to compose for a lot of their games. I mean, it was the same kind of team, just bouncing around, but still, I feel like the NBA games were the best.
The composers on this one, so David Whittaker arranged it. We'll talk about him in a second. I want to talk about Traz Damji or Damji. I'm not sure which one, but they have quite a bit of credits, starting off way back in 1991 with Top Gun Danger Zone on MS-DOS. They did a lot of MS-DOS stuff rolling in through the early to mid 90s, doing stuff like Top Gun Guts and Glory, NBA Live 95, 96, 97. So I believe that prior to those live games, NBA Showdown existed. So like NBA Showdown was like the predecessor for the NBA Live games. And those kind of took over and became the standard all the way through the 2000s and everything. So, and he was doing the music on all of them up through the early 2000s. He then moved on to do the Dead Rising games, like Dead Rising 3, Dead Rising 4 on Xbox One in 2016. His latest game is Outer Worlds 2, which came out last year, doing music production and mixing. But he also worked on some percussion and additional synths and mixing and whatnot for Horizon 2 Forbidden West. So, and I believe I think primarily those are most of his like newer credits. I think final music, just generic music credit, is on Hard Space Shipbreaker, which came out in 2020 on the Windows PC. So yeah, so that's Traz Damji.
Yeah, Traz.
Damji.
I say, like, damn G, you made good
Damn
tunes.
G. That's it. David Whittaker, he is a well-known name, starting off with the Commodore 64 version of Star Wars way back in 1984. He did a lot of stuff for like 8-bit computers and 8-bit handhelds, stuff like the Atari 8-bit, the ZX Spectrum, like Glider Rider in 1986. Amstrad CPC, he did the Contra Konami port for the soundtrack. And yeah, he's just been doing music for a very, 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 very long time. He has so many soundtracks under his belt. Mostly, the earlier years were stuff like the C64, the Amiga, the Atari ST, and, later on worked on consoles, like modern at the time consoles, stuff like the NES, the Genesis, doing baseball stuff like MLB PA, NHL 97 on the Super NES and the Genesis. So, continuing those kind of soundtracks. And he started doing stuff like Lego Star Wars games, Transformers games, and other licensed games, with their latest audio credit being the head of audio for Lego Marvel Superheroes back in 2021 on the Switch. Quite a lot of musical credits for David Whittaker.
I thought Rob Hubbard's was large, but I totally forgot. David Whittaker's he has got an even larger list of games that he's done. He's probably,
crazy.
He's at least in the top like 10 of most prolific video game composers, just based on how much he's done. And even he's done a lot of good stuff too. It's definitely not quantity over quality. He's always done like fantastic soundtracks for all the stuff he's done.
There are composers that are still out there composing, even, to this day, that started back in the Commodore 64 like era back then. So it's always nice to see where these guys, end up.
Oh, absolutely. It's just a natural progression. They usually end up as like a audio director. It's just how it happens. I assume making music for just pure composing for like 30, 40 years is like just one more. But at least they're still in the business and doing good.
Yeah. And speaking of Traz Damji, or Damji, we have another Traz Damji pick. What do you got for us?
Yes, I knew it was naturally going to happen, just kind of like with Jeff too. Though I would say Traz is more involved with a lot of the NBA video games from EA, especially the live series, which he primarily was in charge of. I have from NBA Live 98 on the PS1, Saturn, and PC, released in 97, the track Fresh Trip. So let's get into it. welcome back. You just heard Fresh Trip from NBA Live 98, released on the PS1, Sega Saturn, and PC in 1997, and that was by the one and only Traz DAMMMMMMM.
Damn, G, this song was dope.
I know.
So good.
I love this. I actually have not heard this soundtrack until recently because of this theme. And of course, going beyond the 16-bit limitations of what Traz started out on, this is like just a showcase of he can really make a funky, rad tune with this high quality Red Book audio, or just all using equipment to make this. I don't even know. Well, let me hear your thoughts first, Mike.
Oh my goodness, I love that bass line. So funky, so fresh, really thick sounding too. Just really. Just chuggy almost. It was really awesome. That was the star of the show for me. And kind of listening through the rest of the track, I feel like this is something that Ed would really like. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was picking up some vibes, especially towards the end of the track when you got those looping kind of vocal, kind of harmonizing, when, kind of repetitive vocal stimulations. I don't even know what you'd call them, but that part specifically really jumped out at me, and I was like, whoa. It's this sounds like something more trancey, kind of techno-y a little bit. It definitely has some of those EDM elements kind of mixed in with the kind of funky fresh vibes. So it was cool. It was a fresh track.
No, absolutely. The I don't know how to describe that voice. It's just euphoric. I love, and I think it sounds like she's saying and run and run and run. But I love that. More songs need something like that, and especially with this, because you have the contrast of the funky bass. You have those electric guitars that come in, the tranceness overall, also with the track, and then you just get that nice, especially at the end. I love that that's how it ends. Just the run and run.
Very ethereal ending. Yeah,
ethereal. That's I know. I get so I get so flustered when that song is just really good.
It reminded me of something off of Xgra or some of the later Extreme G games, where they had really hard kind of EDM trance techno type stuff, and that the vibes definitely really heavy later on in the track that really remind me of those more almost haunting vocal melodies, but ethereal too. So it's interesting to hear. I really like this track.
Absolutely, yes. The other, this is just one of many menu themes that are in the game. Again, I think this was still when they wouldn't have. There's no in-game music. It's still the atmosphere of the the chord and such. But there are plenty of great menu themes. It's a journey in how long is this? 3 minutes. Which I like when a song does that. That's why I'm getting so flustered. It's so good. I'm putting this on my iPod, and it's gonna be in my rotation for a while now.
This is when they really started coming together to make basketball games look like actual TV basketball. Beforehand you had NBA Jam, and it was very arcade-ish, and we've played quite a lot of tracks here that really kind of settled in on maybe weird visual aesthetics of the game. Jam It, of course, a street ball game, but this is probably the start of when basketball games looked like if you walked by the TV in the mid to late 90s, you really had to sit down and pay attention to what was happening on the screen to not mistake it for an actual game playing, and I know I'm saying that and people nowadays are what? No, but if you walked by the TV and you saw especially some of these still images when you're looking at them, they're very the graphics are pretty impressive for their time. The shadows are a little wonky here and there. Overall, it looks like an actual basketball game from a very visual aesthetic.
Oh yeah, on on a CRT from a distance, you would probably confuse it for an actual game. It's once they start getting the 3D models going, 3D gaming is it's what a wild era. I love it so much. There may be a lot of criticism on, N64, early PS1, but there's such a charm. And when the music, of course, the sound was getting to CD quality, it just really comes together so well. I miss it. Even though I was only like 5 when this game came out, I miss it.
I will say some of the close-ups on their faces for some of these characters are so wrong and just aren't right, and it just looks ridiculous. Like, I'm looking at a picture of Michael Jordan, and I'm just like, no, that's not Michael Jordan at all.
Yeah.
Don't need to talk about Traz because we already talked about him. So
Yes, thank you.
guess we could move on to our next pick.
Yeah, let's move on to that.
Which is mine. This is NBA Live 2K3. This came out on the GameCube, the Xbox, the PS2, way back in the year 2002. This is Street Ball theme, and it's by Matt Hales, and additional sound support from Scorpio Sound, HSP, and The Beat Miners. Oh boy, that was NBA Live 2K3, the GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2 game that came out in 2002. That was Street Ball theme, and that was by Matt Hales with some additional sound support from some guys that we'll maybe talk about in a bit. What are your thoughts on this one, Niko?
Okay, all right. This is I liked it a lot. I was not expecting it to take the direction it did. Like electrical, like I mean, it's not obviously DJ scratching. It's something more mechanical almost, like some kind of glitching out, like whatever sample or manipulation they're doing. It's really satisfying. I love that. I just thought, bam, bam, bam. It's common themes with all these songs. Just like there's like either like the bass or just the synth, something in the song that just keeps the flow, it keeps it together. I love it because you got like the, like gentle piano in the background, and you just got that that electric glitch manipulation. It's really cool.
Yeah, I do think that this is scratching. But I agree with you that there's some other additional element that they're stacking onto this sound-wise that makes it sound more than just like electrical scratching. So I really dig this type of music. It's super chill. This could almost be like a proto lo-fi in a way, because those like kind of dark jazz pianos kind of coupled with that scratching, that really kind of infectious beat that you've got going on there. It really reminded me of like lo-fi. If you told me this was a lo-fi track, I'd believe you, because it does have like some lo-fi elements. I think if like the record scratching wasn't as prominent, it could easily be a modern 2026 lo-fi track.
No, absolutely. It is kind of held together by that electrical like glitchy scratching. It's really nice. Yeah, I like the contrast with that. I love when tracks do that too. There's like, again, you got like the gentle piano and that hip hop beat, and then you just get that glitchy sound. It's really surprised me because I know definitely when we go beyond like the 2000s here with a lot of these the NBA live games, it's not a lot I've listened to. I've heard like a track or two from some of them, but yeah, not this one. But I'm glad to have heard it now.
They started to do a much better job with games as far as like making the players look like the actual players. So yeah, I know it's still not like perfect as far as like the graphics go when you compare it with, some of the later games in, the NBA 2K games as the years went on. But I gotta say, like looking at some of these screenshots, like they're really impressive for their time. I mean, even right down to looking at some certain players that have tattoos, like they got like tattoos all over them too. And like, they're very clear as day. Like you could see them in replays and stuff like that. Really impressive stuff on a visual level for how they were able to kind of craft these games on a visual perspective. So hats off to EA for that. Yeah, I wanted to pick this track just because I wanted to pick something that felt a little bit more low key, and I think the majority of the tracks that I picked for the rest of the episode are like this, very chill, very relaxed. I think there's one track that's a little bit more upbeat. I tried to balance out the more like funky stuff with the more kind of jazzy elements because I think it's worth kind of showcasing that stuff that doesn't get showcased as much. So
that's very good. I would say this represents more of like what people would think of for tunes in just a basketball game, or if you were to think, what would the NBA Live 2K3, what would the soundtrack sound like? It's like, maybe there's some like lo-fi-ish kind of, not trip hop, but of that kind of genre, just sort of more chill, relaxed. I feel like this is totally something that someone could do now, and it would fit right in just as lo-fi beat tune. It's good. I could chill out to this.
Oh, for sure. And as the years went on, these basketball games got more and more complex. Because of that, the licensed tracks started coming in and started replacing a lot of like the original tunes, which is one of the reasons why we don't have a lot like newer basketball games, because they just have too many licensed tracks on there, which is a shame because I think there's a lost art to creating songs for basketball games and making them infectious, making them exciting, making them fun to listen to, reminding people like, hey, at the end of the day, this is still a video game that you can kind of jam out to.
Yeah, that's missed with a lot of modern sports games. They all just use like licensed music now. I get it, but it hurts my soul as a video game music lover.
That's it. Makes me say jam it.
Jam.
So the composer on this, Matt Hales, they don't have too many credits to their name. NBA 2K1 was their first game on the Dreamcast. They did the sequel to that, and then they started releasing games on the PS2, Xbox, GameCube with the NBA 2K2 and 2K3 games, and then moved over to composing a track for Guitar Hero Live many years later. And then their final game was FC24, which came out in 2023 on Windows. They wrote a track called Shame. So, kind of stepped away from composing for VGM. Scorpio Sound, HSP, and Beat Miners, I'll be honest, I didn't really have that much to contribute towards these companies. I believe that they are just like either working on other music in support of this game, but I can't definitely tell you who wrote this.
Yeah, they just
I
probably
wish I could.
contributed a little bit, here and there for something, or just the overall sound design, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, but those particularly Scorpio Sound is giving me vibes of like just production or audio production sort of stuff. So that is perfect timing because it looks like we are getting a caller request once more.
Oh my! All right, Janine, can you put our next caller through? XVGM Radio. Who's this, and what do you want us to play for you?
Oh, hey, how's it going? It's me, Mario.
Oh my goodness, the Mario?
Yes.
Oh wow! I cannot believe that we have the Mario here calling in at XVGM Radio. What brings you here?
Wow, this is such an honor. Like, what could we do for you, Mario?
Well, I heard that you guys are doing a basketball game, yeah?
That's correct.
Oh, that's awesome! I want to hear a game song from my basketball game.
Oh wait, that's right. Mario does have a basketball game.
That's true. Yeah. All right. What do you want to hear, Mario?
How about Sherbert Land from Mario Hoops? Woohoo! Waha! Wah!
Okay, all right. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. I will do that for you, good Sir Mario.
Thank you, Mario, and Godspeed to you.
See you later.
All right, I will do that for you, good Sir Mario. Let me bring to you the track Sherbert Land from Mario Hoops 3-on-3 on the original Nintendo DS, released in 2006, and this was composed by Masayoshi Soken. Welcome back. You just heard Sherbert Land from Mario Hoops 3-on-3 on the original Nintendo DS, released in 2006, composed by Masayoshi Soken.
This was great, though I will say, initially I was listening to this and I was like, wait, this sounds like a winter song. And then I realized it hit me and I was like, oh, Sherbert is cold. That's right.
Yeah. You got it.
But I really like this. I love the borderline, like, wintry vibes that this is kind of contributing. Very different from anything else that we've played on this. Very fun and friendly, just like, most Mario music. But yeah, the twinkly kind of nature to the sound on this really kind of spruces up this track. In comparison with, like, the rest of the stuff that we've been picking, it's very different from anything else we've heard today.
Yes, I wanted one track that was definitely way, like, on the complete opposite end of the chord, you could say. Just whatever metaphor.
Boom.
Yeah.
Jam it.
Yeah, jam it. Yeah, because like Jam It was like, oh, that'll be my one standout kind of track as far as like being different from like NBA Live, the NBA Showdown, all those kind of games. I mean, still had like Coach K, which college basketball, but I mean, it's a Mario basketball game on the DS. It's so interesting. Developed by Square.
Yeah.
Because they had that little
That's
era.
So weird.
In the mid 2000s, right? Because then they had the next Mario sports game that I believe Square did on the Wii.
Yeah, they did a ton of stuff. It's like a major renaissance during the Wii era for the relationship between Square and Nintendo. After basically nothing on the N64 and GameCube, I think they came out with like Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube, and I think that was pretty much mostly it. So to see them bounce back on the Wii and the DS systems during this era with like so many games, it was really heartwarming to see, and it was cool to see them pair with Nintendo directly and start making Mario games. Like, if you told me that Square was going to work again with Nintendo in a post Super Mario RPG fashion, I would have told you you're crazy. Like, that bridge has been burned. But it's nice to know that they were able to repair their relationship, and that Squaresoft, or Square Enix rather, is still pumping out titles on Nintendo systems to this day, which is great.
Absolutely. And I just love, I mean, obviously you have that little bit of the Sherbert Land theme, like the melody, it's in there, but then Masayoshi just adds his own little flair to it. I love those claps, like the breakdown in the middle. I always want to just clap every time. This is like a concert song. If this was like video game music being played in concerts and such, I mean, it's a thing, but like my own fantasy scenario of like, they're going to play all the tracks that I love that are perfect for like that kind of environment, I would be clapping. And I am also a little bit not ruined. So this game has an official soundtrack released because it's Square, so pretty expected,
sure.
I guess maybe even 2006 it's a little wild, but on the CD all the tracks are actually like unique in that there's like usually added samples that Masayoshi added. And so on this track for like that main like Sugarland melody, he uses a sample from what is it? There's an anime called Air Gear, I believe. And there's a track on the original soundtrack called Blind to See. And then he took a sample from that and fits it in. So it's, you're too blind to see it, baby. You're too blind to see it. And every time I'm singing that in my head whenever I'm listening to the original track here. It's so,
that's cool.
It's so good. I was almost tempted to play the CD version, but I was like, no, let's keep it pure to the original game. And then I can give the fun little fact, and you can go and listen to it yourself. But
yeah, you know what you could do is post that version in our Discord server.
Yes.
We have a whole section called Share VGM in our Discord server where people can go and dump tracks that, they want to share, maybe potentially stuff that we'll even play on a future episode. So if you're listening and feel like sharing some VGM with us, hop on into our Discord server and share away, because there's a good chance that we may pick from that for a future episode and, of course, give you credit. So good times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't played this. Have you played Mario Hoops?
Very briefly. It's pretty fun. Obviously, it's 3-on-3, so there's a lot of there's encouragement of the local play, of course. Even single player, it's silly. You use the touchscreen to shoot and make your shots, and the gameplay's pretty simple. But obviously, they would expand a little better on the Mario Sports Mix title that, of course, Square did, and Masayoshi returned and did the music for, which is a fantastic soundtrack also. But it's fun, and they throw in some Square characters. You got Cactuar, you got a Moogle you could play as.
Yeah, I was just looking over the the roster. You can play as Dixie Kong, which is pretty dope. Yeah, Moogle, Cactar.
Before they forgot about her, Dixie Kong.
Right, justice for Dixie Kong.
Yeah, and I love the art style too. Like looking at the profile pics, the icons. Like I love that Square got a chance to do this with a Mario IP. I mean, sure, it's a basketball game, so I mean, there's not much hype you could bring, I guess, to that other than the fact that the music's awesome, of course. But at first, there's the White Mage character, and at first I thought that was just like Rosalina, but they just made her look, like a Final Fantasy character. But no, this was 2006. This was before Mario Galaxy. So I also wonder if somebody in Nintendo saw that and was like, "Hey, she looks cool. Hey, I have this character named Rosalina I've been trying to make. Maybe I'll just take from her design because it just looks like a Rosalina character or like a skin.
She looks like a redheaded version of Rosalina.
Exactly. So that was oh, that's cool. And then now I had this whole theory in my head that like, oh, I wonder if they took that design to make Rosalina, or it was inspired at least. I would like to think, it was inspired. Still,
I could see it.
There you go.
I could see it.
You're not too blind to see it. You're not too blind to see it. Oh, God, I love that.
Looking at the art for the White Mage character, they really made it look like I almost said Disney princess, like a Mario princess. Like, she's got the Rosalina swoop too. So yeah, you got a good theory there. Maybe Miyamoto was like, hey, we're gonna make a new princess, and I don't know. I'm not a Rosalina fan. I'm Team Daisy all the way, but it's cool. It's cool to see this potential. I'll have to check this game out. I do really like most Mario sports games, but I don't tend to play them very long. I'd say Mario Strikers Charged was the game that I played the most, and Mario Strikers the original, as far as repetitive play, multiplayer play. I'll have to check this Mario Hoops game out because I could always use more Mario sports games on my DS, which I don't think I have any. So
there you go. I'm glad to introduce this to you, and hopefully all of y'all will do the same. And of course, check out that soundtrack. This is definitely my favorite track from listening to the whole soundtrack, and I think that CD version also really helps because I cannot never not sing "Too Blind to See It" in my head. All right, but
tell me a little bit about the composer.
Yes, let me tell you about the great Masayoshi Soken. Started out just doing like general sound. That was like his credit on Evil Knight in '98 on the arcade. That was like his first credit. Front Mission 5: Scars of the War on PS2 in 2005, but Mario Hoops 3-on-3 was his first official music composition and arrangement credit, so I believe this was his start for then composing, which, wow, what a great first official soundtrack to compose for, because every track's a banger. Then did Dawn of Mana, and then is probably most well-known for Final Fantasy 14 and all of the expansions and DLC that came with that. That's definitely his most claim to fame or notoriety, is doing just the music for all the Final Fantasy 14 online. Of course, you got Mario Sports Mix, Lord of Apocalypse, PSP Drakengard 3 Beat Rhythm, the Final Fantasy Curtain Call on 3DS. And a lot of just Final Fantasy 14, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, and then of course Final Fantasy 16, which I have listened to. Great soundtrack, or something that's kind of new. That's a bit of a surprise for me. Not that I don't listen to newer soundtracks, but when I do get the chance, it's usually really worthwhile. And Final Fantasy 16 is really great. And then of course his last credit is the recent FF14 online, the Dawn Trail. So he's mostly stocked up because of Final Fantasy 14, but still, what a lovely composer, especially from Mario Hoops and FF16. What a contrast of his soundtracks he's done Final Fantasy 14 all the online and Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Just throw that in there.
Right. Word. All right, let's get into our next pick. This one is going to the Game Boy Color, actually. Back in 1999, NBA In the Zone released, and this was BGM 08, and it's by an unknown composer. It might be Hirotaka Kurita, but we can't 100% pin it to them. So we're going with the famous unknown composer moniker. So let's go ahead and give this one a listen. Boom, that was NBA in the Zone, the Game Boy Color 1999 release. VGM 08 was the name of the track, and that was by a unknown composer, possibly Hirotaka Kurita, but we're going with unknown composer this time around. I gotta know what you think about this one.
I mean, a pretty short loop, but pretty catchy. I mean, as is Konami's forte to make excellent sound design and such. It's good. There's actually not much more I can say other than it's a nice, fun, simple loop. I don't know, just that kind of fun. Makes me think it would be like someone be shouting like, "Hey-oh!"
Yeah, I mean, on the Game Boy Color, not too much room that you can put in for samples. It's possible, for sure. Generally not something that you would hear, especially from Konami on the Game Boy Color. I wanted to showcase something from Konami because Konami actually has done quite a few basketball games over the years. You know, they had the whole NBA Give and Go series on, I think it was Super Famicom, Super NES, like around that era. Now they're not really in the game anymore for modern era for basketball. You know, they tend to stick to soccer or football, as the non-North Americans call it. Yeah, NBA in the Zone is it looks like it's a pretty cool release. There were two different versions that came out for this game on the Game Boy Color. One was called NBA in the Zone, and one was called NBA in the Zone 2000, I believe. So both released on it. You know, the games themselves are okay. They're serviceable. Keeping in mind that it's on a Game Boy Color, you can't really expect too much to blow you away, especially, you know, in comparison with like the Big Brother kind of titles that also came out on like the N64, the PS1, etc., that were part of like In the Zone series. As far as basketball visuals go, this one's not bad. You know, I get a lot of vibes from Double Dribble for this. Like, looking at some of the screenshots, it looks a lot like Double Dribble. Sound wise, I do agree that this is very repetitive. It is meant to be probably an in-between like menu kind of track where you're listening to it, you know, you're trying to get, you know, from one menu to the next. So there's a good chance that that's the reason as to why NBA in the Zone has very repetitive tracks. I gotta say, a lot of the songs on this soundtrack were great, you know, really high energy stuff. This had a little bit more hip hop kind of elements to it, kind of like a dancey hip hop vibe, you know, with the bam kind of sting. I kind of feel like it could be leading into like more breakbeat type stuff. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes when you're listening to like Game Boy tracks as to what specific like musical genre a track could be.
Yeah, precisely. The limitations definitely leave a lot to the imagination.
Yeah.
I still like it. Yeah, and the Double Dribble comparison is also accurate the way it looks because that's Konami as well. Yeah, it's still neat. I forgot that Konami did some basketball games on the Game Boy Color because they have they have a number of them.
I think we featured a track from one of the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo tracks from like NBA Give and Go on the basketball live show that we did. So if you're a patron, head back over to our 2019 era live shows so you can kind of like hear it for yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that they had some inspiration from that. I mean, that was like 5 years ago when they did or before this with Give and Go, which very peak Super Nintendo Konami sound on there.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack,
and I still like this. And whoever composed it, I hope we'll find the credit one day because that always also gets to me. I do not like unknown composer credit, which I mean it's just a natural way it's going to happen with a lot of these games. I mean, many of them are like that, but I always hope one day to see that there's a name attached that's at least somewhat confirmed.
Yeah, I know, especially on your end, you worked really hard to try to label those on, like your Wii Guy stuff on YouTube, when you're trying to put together soundtracks.
Yeah, Dead naming my Wii Guy name.
I'm bringing it back to the Wii Guy era.
No, it's all that's. But yeah, for the 8-bit story, yeah, that's my whole thing. I love trying to give as much respective credit for, of course, developers and composers, sound programmers, arrangers, sound driver creators, all of that jazz. So you feel me there. You feel me there.
Oh, for sure. And we did pass this one back on the XVGM Discord, like on our private chat. And myself and Ed and Niko kind of like all, we're like, it could be this guy. Ed made a good point that it could be Hirotaka Kurita, just based on the fact that he did International Superstar Soccer 2000, which came out the same year, and it was by KCE Osaka. So there's a good chance that it could be him as well. Who knows? No clue. But anyways, let's get into your final pick.
We're already there. I can't believe it. It's been flying by like a hoop, like a ball going in a hoop.
Sometimes you gotta, sit back and say, "Jam it, it's already over."
Jam it. Well, hopefully I will leave you all with a slam dunk track here at the end. Let me lead you into my last pick here. We've got from NBA Live 95 on DOS in 1995, the pause theme by the one and only Traz Damg.
Oh, Damg. Let's hit it.
welcome back. You just heard my last pick, Pause, from NBA Live 95 on the MS-DOS, released in 1995 by DAMMMMMMM.
Damn G, I can't believe you picked another track from Mr. Damn G.
I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I love the man.
No, it's really good. This was super chill, very laid back. Almost got into like a kind of like trip hoppy new age kind of vibe. I was digging this. This also kind of has like some ambient qualities to it, like very minimal. So I was really feeling this. It was cool.
I'm glad you did. I figured, as much as I would have loved to actually have Sherbert Land as the last track, I figured, let's chill out again. I started my first official pick being chill with the Coach K theme, and then I'm like, let's just bring it down again. We've had a lot of energy. At the end of the day, it's all about just having a good time with your bros or gals if you're playing when you're playing b-ball out in the streets or in a court, wherever you're doing it. Again, I want something a little unique for the console. I mean, in a way, this is almost like a fresh trip track. Like the grooviness, the funkiness is there. It's just very chill. It's this is before Traz really went like all out. But I assume by then the budget got bigger. He was able to do a little bit more, bringing that like actual bass guitar. Because like the bass here, it still sounds like it's using something from it's still Red Book. It's not quite super seedy audio quality. I like that. I like that this is also an interesting point where you're moving away from like MIDI with DOS, and you could actually have like Red Book audio on DOS games. Yeah, I love the smooth bass. I love when that like beat, the drop comes in with like the drum, just that like psh, that punch. I love those punchy like effects on like trying to find the specific term. It's not treble. You know what I mean though? When like a drum hit just has a punch sound. It's like pow.
Yeah. This I feel like is really laid back and really relaxing, and it's funny because this is supposedly the pause music, and I'm like, okay, so you're in the middle of a match, you're going crazy, jamming it up, and then all of a sudden somebody hits pause. And it's kind of like, it kind of takes on this almost pseudo Battletoads vibe, where you play the first Battletoads and you hear,
yeah.
And so I don't know what I would do if I paused a basketball game and heard this track. I think I would be like, what? Like, this just doesn't, I don't know, this doesn't gel to me. But, I think they make it work for what it is. And I really do like this track, so.
Thank you. I'm glad. As much as I picked there's a lot of Traz. Traz is here like 4 times, which again kind of reiterates that he was like the main guy during this era, did all those NBA Live games. I mean, he became in charge of that and helped create the the NBA Live orchestra that they did start using by like NBA Live 98 on Beyond.
Cool.
Yeah, and they got more like trumpets and such involved. Things got a little bit more almost like Scottish. It was interesting, but I mean, he definitely experimented and tried a whole variety of different sounding tracks on all those NBA Live games, which, of course, again, check out all of them and all the ports too. Of course, the ones that like have the difference between the 16-bit and the 32-bit. But once you get to NBA Live 98, 99, 2000, I mean, by then, you're getting to just like the same soundtracks across all the ports, but still very, very good, very worthwhile. So again, thank you, Traz, for providing such amazing music to NBA games
and making us say, "Damn G."
Damn G, you really, you really. I'm trying to think of a pun with like Traz. Like I am trazzed by your goodness of music. I don't know. I tried.
Entrazed, right?
Entrasment,
right. I see.
Maybe.
Entrasment. I see what you're putting out there. You know what's gonna happen is we're gonna get like a message from Traz, and he's gonna be like, it's actually pronounced Dom Jai or something like that.
Oh God, that would be great. Oh, if you do, Traz, come on the show. We'd love to talk to you.
That's it. That's what's up.
Get Jeff and Traz, since they also worked together at the A during this time too. So why not? Let's go all out. We gotta really just start being aggressive with this.
That's it.
Now that I'm a part of this with the co-host rotations, I'm gonna be pushing for. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to, but
heck yeah, I'm down. Let's make it happen, Captain.
All right, Mike's on board. We're good.
All All right, we're going to close it out with a game that, I saw all the time in game stores, working in game stores at the time. I never really played it, and it's called NBA Street. This came out on the PS2 and the GameCube in 2001. This track is called The Chase, and it's by Ron Cody, Bart W. Gurr, Lori Wilson, Traz Damji, oh snap, he's back, Mark Jorgensen, and Robert Elliott. Let's hit it. What a banger to go out on. That was NBA Street, the PS2 and GameCube game released, I believe, 2001 on the PS2 and 2002 on the GameCube. That was The Chase, and it was by Ron Cody, Bart W. Gurr, Lori Wilson, Traz Damji, Mark Jorgensen, and Robert Elliott, all of which took on this wonderful soundtrack. Man, there was a lot to like on this soundtrack, but this one in particular really stood out to me. If you told me Tim Follin composed this one, I would totally believe you. It has many of those like Fallen vibes, kind of like Waka Waka kind of guitar, 70s prog rock kind of vibes, heavy-handed with the organs. I love this like Shaft era, music, 70s funk. it's just super chill and fun to listen to. So I was like eating this up. I love the flute, by the way. Like absolutely love hearing that flute. It kind of littered throughout this entire track. It really sealed the deal for me on this song.
Yeah, that's a very accurate observation. The Tim falling, because I could assume that this was like some unused track I never heard from like Starsky and Hutch that he did.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, because your the 70s shaft funk and the guitars and the synths, and I love that. I love that flute and the sax too. Like, dang, I didn't know it was gonna be. Damn, G, I didn't know there was gonna be some sax. Was that you, Traz? Did you incorporate that into the song?
Was it Traz? Was that you?
Was that you, Traz? No, he was the flute. No, he was the flute player. He secretly loves that.
He was the flute. Somebody else was playing him.
Yeah, this is good. This was definitely a good banger for your final track to choose. This is good. This is definitely something I've not heard anything from. NBA Street.
Yeah, I'm going to need to hunt this game down because it's a 3-on-3 street basketball game, but they include NBA teams. There's 29 different NBA teams that are playable, and the rosters are like from that like 2000, 2001 era. Michael Jordan's in the game as well because he came back to play like his final seasons. I think he played for the Washington Wizards for a while. It's cool. It's awesome. The main character on the box art looks a lot like Julius Erving.
Oh god.
So they were like they were going for that retro kind of 70s vibe, at least for the aesthetic, by putting him on the cover. It's also one of EA's big games, like the quote unquote like EA big they were coming out with at that time. EA Sports had a big label for their games where like they were really kind of pushing for these very like arcade centric experiences, stuff like SSX and stuff like that, those types of games.
Yeah, that's right.
So they really hammered home the big label, which were used for like arcade style sports from about 2000 to 2008. Pretty hefty amount of time.
You know what they say, go big or go home.
Oh, boom. You nailed it.
Yeah, I had that. I was like, I gotta have a pun with this. I gotta use something.
It was your time. You had to make it happen.
I did.
Go big or go
right
home.
At the end here. I did it. I did it, Mom and Dad.
You did it. You did it. I'm so proud.
Thank you.
The composers on this one, so I kind of grabbed the entire audio team. I don't know who actually composed this specific track. We'll start off with Ron Cody. Has tracks going back to NBA Live 99. That was on the PlayStation where they were credited as a sound artist. A lot of their credits for audio are like speech or audio engineering. So again, I think this is just like more of a sound support role, but their latest game was 2003's NBA Street Volume 2. So they came back for the sequel. Bart W. Gurr has a little bit more credits, but started off with NHL 98 back in 1997 on the Windows machines. And again, mostly did like sports titles. Their latest game was on the PSP, which was Madden NFL 2009, where they were credited for additional audio. Lori Wilson, also a name on this list, and they have a little bit less credits, but again, starting off with NBA Live 99 and then kind of moving through doing various NBA games like Live 2002, NCAA March Madness 2003. Their latest game, they were a voice actor under the game Rewind, which came out in 2006, and that came out for the Game Wave. What is a Game Wave? That is something I've never heard of.
That beats me. I don't know. The game that you wave at, just wave at it.
I guess that's the console. It's a Game Wave. So that's them. Traz, we're not going to talk about because we did. So we'll move on to Mark Jorgensen, where their credits are small, starting off with NBA Live 1999 on the N64, AAA 2000 on the N64, the following year in 1999. Their last credit was part of the audio team for NBA Street, before they vanished off the court. And then Robert Elliott is our last composer on this one. Started off with NBA Live 2001, and their final game was NBA Live 2003, which came out in the 2002 window, where they're credited as color. I'm thinking color commentary. So a lot of their credits are voice color commentary credits. So I don't think they had anything to do with the music itself. So we could maybe remove them from this.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I am leaning that this might have been maybe a Traz track. Also based on the fact that everybody else has done more of like audio, like, you know, sound effects or speech stuff, you know, audio engineering. Because I mean, there's only, I think it was Mark, he had at least one just music credit. So like compositions, I assume. So this could be a Traz track as well. We might have ended both on a Traz DAMMMMMMM track. I want to believe it in my heart.
We basically just did like half of a Traz DAMMMMMMM show, so composer spotlight. So
you know,
good job, us.
You know what? I ain't complaining. You know, he's the man. He's great.
No. Speaking of which, let's pick our favorite tracks because we heard a lot of really good stuff this episode. But now we're curious on what Niko and I's favorite tracks are. So Niko, take it away. What is your favorite pick of this episode?
Gosh. This was actually really hard. This is actually one of the toughest I've had for episodes I've been on because it's always complicated because it's like, I want to choose mine because of course I love all the tracks I chose, but it's not fair. I don't like to do this, especially now that it's just now that we got the rotation with just you and I feel like I have a little bit more room to pick. I mean,
I would say pick a track of yours and pick a track of mine, and that should do it.
I mean, obviously, I guess that's just like not as like official, but if of the ones I chose, I probably have to go with the Sherbet Land just because it's the most just fun and unique, and just really love that. It's because of those lyrics that I sing with the Too Blind to See. But I will say for official like favorite track, from you, it's gonna be from you, and you know what? Just because in my heart, I'm gonna go with NBA Showdown '94. There's something just that Genesis. The bass on that one, you know, and you got two all-time greats there, of course, with Traz that we pretty much have been glazing this whole this episode, but David Whitaker as well. It's just a fantastic representation, I would say, for just NBA Sega Genesis sounding tunes, which, you know, again, I'm competing against also in my head with Coach K basketball because that's also like a really peak soundtrack. But nope, it's NBA Showdown '94 with the NBA Finals World Champion track. That's my favorite of this episode.
That is a good one. I think I'm going to go with your NBA Live 98 track, the Fresh Trip, which I believe is the first Traz DAMMMMMM track. Was really impressed by that one, so that is going to seal the deal for me for that one. Of mine, I don't know. I picked a lot of really good stuff. I do really like the NBA Street track. I think the NBA in the Zone surprised me the most, just because I didn't expect to hear such like awesome music on the Game Boy Color. Not that I don't think the Game Boy Color's possible to make that type of music. I love me some Game Boy soundtracks, and so it's cool to see something like that come out, and it made me want to like hunt down the game. Even if the game is kind of meh, I would get it just for the soundtrack because I just, you know, love that type of tune so much, like chiptune type stuff. But yeah, it's kind of a toss up between that and the NBA Street track for me. That and the NBA Live track for you. Those are the three tracks that I was like really grooving on this episode.
Well, yeah. I'm glad you like that Fresh Trip. Yeah, I can see that very much flows in well with like the other later half tracks you chose here. It fits right in, I would say. So I like it. I approve. I am blessed. Thank you.
Faux show. And now we want to hear from you. What are your favorite tracks on this episode? Let us know on our various social media, Discord, Blue Sky, all the places, smoke signals. Let us know what tracks you're going to be playing on the court from this episode.
So, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons, without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Cam Worm, Rage Cage, Scott McElhone, Claire Myers, Brad Austin, Chris Murray, Red Wax, X-Zombie Mike, Nick Davis, Kitty Sparks, and Ryan McPherson. If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/XVGMradio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you and access to our monthly live shows. You can also visit our website, www.xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email at xvgmradio@gmail.com. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving us a review on iTunes. You could join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at www.facebook.com/group/XVGM radio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks, or just talking about the podcast itself. You can also find us on Blue Sky and Instagram. Our handle on both sites is at XVGM radio. If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links in the show notes.
All right, we are coming back in a month with a new host and a new episode. And actually, this is going to be a big episode. This is going to be something that we have been talking about putting out for probably a good 5 years. So our good buddy Cam Worma, is a huge Dragon Quest fan. And he's been a patron of ours for a long time, been a longtime fan of both Pixel Tunes Radio and XVGM Radio. And we're teaming up with Cam, myself, Justin, who will be back, and also Ryan McPherson, who is another one of our patrons, and he has his own podcast, and he is going to be joining us as well. And the four of us are going to be talking about Dragon Quest 1 through 3. So we're going to be tackling the original Dragon Quest trilogy, all the various versions of these games. Originally, we were talking about maybe doing like a same song, different system, but we're not going to do that. So it's just going to be Dragon Quest 1 through 3, spotlighting several different versions of these songs. And one of the reasons why we kind of didn't do this 5 years ago is because Justin and I knew nothing really about Dragon Quest. I've played some of them like very briefly. And so we really wanted to make sure that if we were going to do this, we were going to do it right. We were going to do it justice. And so that's why we're bringing on both Ryan and Cam, who are both massive Dragon Quest guys. So this should be a really cool episode. So we're looking forward to that one.
I like it. I approve.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that one coming back next month. XVGM Radio After Dark will also be airing. We probably just aired the Samus and Chill episode, which will be playing sometime in March. And so in April, I don't have any of the details yet for what we're going to be playing, but it's going to be Justin's pick. So stay tuned to our Twitch channel, which is actually Justin's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/shock83j16, where we host monthly XVGM Radio After Dark. So stay tuned for that. We're also going to be doing a live show as well this first quarter. So stay tuned to our social media for more details on that. If you're a patron, you'll be able to join us live if you'd like for that episode. Anywho, this is Mike.
This is Niko.
Signing off for XVGM Radio.